Have you ever noticed something strange about the greatest players in NBA history? The world remembers the rings, the highlights, the frozen moments that replayed on television for decades. But almost nobody asks the harder question. What happens to a legend when the legend ends? Because here's something nobody prepares you for. The hardest game Scottie Pippen ever played had nothing to do with basketball. No arena, no crowd chanting his name, no Michael Jordan beside him. Just the quiet weight of everything he'd built and everything he was about to lose. Today, we're going inside the real life of one of the most underrated superstars in NBA history. The estate, the cars, the financial disasters that cost him $20 million. The private life he now guards more carefully than any championship. But here's what's going to surprise you. It's not how much Pippen made. It's not even how much he lost. It's what he chose to do after all of it. Because that decision, quiet, deliberate, completely invisible to most people, might actually be the most impressive chapter of his entire story. Scottie Pippen isn't chasing the spotlight anymore. He's protecting something far more valuable, his peace. Before the rings, before the fame, before any of it, Pippen was just a skinny kid from Hamburg, Arkansas, population barely 3,000, the kind of small town where dreams feel like a different language. He was the youngest of 12 children, and life at home was already hard before it got harder. His father suffered a stroke that left him partially paralyzed. In one moment, the financial weight of that entire family shifted, and a kid who was barely old enough to understand it had to grow up fast. Basketball wasn't a plan back then. It was an escape. But even that escape almost didn't happen. When Pippen enrolled at the University of Central Arkansas, scouts barely knew his name. He wasn't a top recruit. He wasn't considered a serious prospect. He was so far off the radar that he spent his first year managing equipment for the team, before finally earning a roster spot. Then something changed everything. He grew to 6'8". But it wasn't just the height that turned heads. Coaches started noticing something different in the way he saw the game. He could guard any position on the floor. He could orchestrate an offense without the ball in his hands. He could read what a defense was planning before the play even developed. By 1987, NBA scouts were watching very closely. Draft night came. Seattle technically selected him. Then almost immediately, a trade was made. Pippen was headed to Chicago. That trade quietly changed basketball history, because the moment Pippen and Jordan shared a court together, the rest of the league had a problem it wasn't ready for. Everyone remembers the Bulls dynasty a certain way. Jordan with the ball, Jordan hitting the shot, Jordan raising the trophy. And that's not wrong. Jordan was the greatest player who ever lived. But ask anyone who played against those Bulls teams what actually made them terrifying, and you get a different answer. Night after night, Pippen guarded the opponent's best player. He ran the offense when Jordan needed rest. He crashed the boards, triggered fast breaks, and made winning plays that never showed up in the highlight reels. He was the engine, the reason the machine worked at a level nobody else could reach. 6 championships. And while he was building that legacy on the court, he was quietly building another kind of life off it. Today, that life looks completely different from what most people expect. No Instagram flexing, no constant headlines, no reality television. What Pippen built in retirement feels almost deliberately invisible. And the more you look at it, the more you realize that's entirely by design. His estate in Highland Park, just outside Chicago, says everything without saying a word. Long, private driveway, mature trees shielding the property from the street. The kind of calm that doesn't need to announce itself. Valued around $3 million. It's not the flashiest address in celebrity real estate, but that's almost the point. Inside, the home breathes differently than you'd expect. Floor-to-ceiling windows, dark hardwood floors across wide open spaces, family photos placed throughout, not as trophies, but as memory. The Bulls memorabilia isn't displayed to impress visitors. It's there because it's part of who he is, not a performance of who he used to be. But the detail that stops people cold is buried deeper inside the property. A full-size indoor basketball court, Bulls colors across the floor, his number 33 embedded directly into the design. A private world where NBA history literally lives beneath your feet. He still uses it, not for cameras, not for content, because basketball is still coded into him at a level that never leaves. That same quiet intentionality runs through his garage. The Ferrari 458 Spider is there, loud, aggressive, unapologetically fast. The kind of car that exists purely for the feeling of it. But then there's the Cadillac Escalade and the Mercedes G-Class. Larger, quieter, tinted windows, vehicles designed not for attention, but for control. That word keeps appearing in Pippen's life now, control, which makes what happened next hit even harder. Because for years, Pippen had almost none of it. In 1991, he signed a 7-year contract worth $18 million. At the time, it felt significant. But the NBA was about to explode financially in ways nobody predicted, and Pippen was trapped inside a deal that quickly stopped reflecting his value. Jordan eventually earned over $30 million in a single season. Pippen watched it happen, locked in, unable to move. It became one of the most cautionary contracts in league history, not because Pippen made mistakes, but because he trusted the wrong people at the wrong time. He eventually recovered. New deals, Nike endorsements, business opportunities that generated real money. By most measures, Pippen had rebuilt himself. Then came the disaster nobody saw coming. $20 million, gone. Bad investments, a private jet deal that collapsed, real estate that turned into a nightmare. And sitting at the center of all of it was a financial advisor Pippen had completely trusted. $20 million, years of work, dissolved. Here's what's remarkable about how he responded. He didn't get louder. He didn't chase cameras to tell his side. He didn't flood the internet with comeback content designed to go viral. He went quiet. He got careful. He rebuilt the walls around his life and started moving through the world in an entirely different way. And honestly, that response tells you more about his character than any championship trophy ever could. Because after everything Scottie Pippen went through, the pressure, the criticism, the sacrifices, and the years of living in Michael Jordan's shadow, he still chose peace over bitterness. And that brings us to where Scottie Pippen actually is today. Instead of chasing headlines, he's spending real time with family. Instead of proving himself to the world, he's playing golf in places where nobody even recognizes him. And rather than reliving the past, he's mentoring younger players who are navigating the same pressures he once carried. But maybe most importantly of all, Scottie has learned to choose very carefully which rooms he walks into and which ones he no longer needs to enter. The hunger to prove himself is gone, not because he gave up, but because he finally understood something most athletes never do. You cannot outrun what you've already accomplished, and spending your life trying only keeps you from building what comes next. From a small house in Arkansas with barely enough to get by, to 6 championships on the biggest stage in the world, to losing $20 million and rebuilding from scratch, to choosing peace over relevance and meaning it. Very few people survive all of those chapters without losing themselves somewhere along the way. Scottie Pippen survived every single one of them. And when you look at the full picture, not just the highlights, not just the rings, but the entire journey from Hamburg to Highland Park, that might honestly be his greatest win. Drop a comment and tell us which part of Pippen's story surprised you most. And if you want more deep dive stories about NBA legends, wealth, and the truth behind the fame, subscribe now, because the next one goes even deeper.